Hello, everyone. Yes, I just waiting, make sure everybody has a chance to jump into the meeting here today. I know we're right at the top of the hour. So first of all, wanted to welcome everyone who is already on the call. Thank you for coming to join with us in a very exciting webinar that we have planned for you today. Really the first time that we're sharing with our customers the exciting new and next generation of HQA with our HQA 360 web and all that goes along with it. So we want to definitely get this meeting started and kick things off, and I hope you enjoy what you see today. But again, thanks for showing up. A couple housekeeping items here real quick. Everybody is currently muted, all the attendees. We do want to try and make this as interactive as possible. However, again, obviously, given the number of folks in the meeting, just muting the attendees really allows us to make sure there's no interruption. But if you do have questions, please do put those questions in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And we'll certainly answer those, hopefully at the end if we don't answer your questions throughout the webinar today as well. We do have an FAQs button, slide towards the end. So hopefully a majority of your questions will be answered, but certainly if not, feel free to use that Q&A button. And finally, we are recording this webinar today. So for anybody who isn't able to attend at your company, or if it's something you'd like to share with anybody else, we are definitely going to share this with you. So don't feel you need to furiously write down any notes. We will be recording this and sending this to you after the meeting as well. As a way of a couple introductions, a couple presenters, we have a few presenters today. My name, first off, is Scott Boeing at the bottom of the list there. And I am currently the VP of Customer Success and Account Management here at HQA. With me, we have Effie Tornberg, who is our President and COO. He will be talking a little bit about our strategic vision and future of the product as well as Chris Mendocino, our VP of Product. And Chris is actually going to be the one who gets to do the fun part and show you really what we've been working on and show you what that HQA 360 web looks like and get you a live look into the product. Again, exciting because this is really the first time we've done this on a webinar. So very, very excited about that. That being said, quick webinar agenda. So what we're first going to do, obviously, introduction, welcome going on now. Then we're going to turn it over to Effie, and he's really going to talk about that strategic vision, really what we've been working on. And then we'll get into really why we're moving in the direction we are as far as a web-based product. Talk a little bit about that, as mentioned before. Then we'll jump into the product here for about 15-20 minutes or so and really give you a look into what we've been working on. Then get into really, what does that mean, product timeline, when it will be available to our customer base, how you get in line for this, really certainly how you convert. I know a lot of you on the call, I saw the list beforehand, have been in conversation with me already on this. So good to see, but anybody who hasn't, kind of really update you on what's coming and how we get you over there. As mentioned before, we'll go over some frequently asked questions and then any additional questions you may have as well. So that being said, I'll turn it over here briefly to Effie to talk really about our strategic vision here.
Hi, everyone. Always great to talk to customers, and we hope this will be educational and full of new, exciting information. We are a technology company. We are a software company with the focus on manufacturing quality. We have a lot of domain expertise, and we keep evolving them. And we are committed to your success in being healthy businesses, serving your customers well, and keep growing. Technology is shifting and changing rapidly in the last 20, 30 years. And as a technology company, we have to keep up with all those changes, and we have to service you and keep evolving the technology to provide on the new opportunities technology introduces to us. The current technology is very powerful. We run OCR on premise. We manipulate the screen. We provide you good usability, and it's engineering software. But we see more opportunities in the areas of managing roles, permission, improving user experience, improving analytics, improving reporting, improving collaboration. And we believe web technology is the way to do it. So to accomplish that, and we keep evolving ourselves, and we took the time and put the effort and the investment parallel to continue to servicing the inspection manager HQA software. And we developed the next big thing that we are gradually introducing. And as Scott indicated, he already had multiple dialogues with many of you. And today is the next foray into sharing, exposing, opening the dialogue more collaboratively with multiple customers today, and having you ask questions and us continue to learn from your question. So this is an exchange to learn from you and share our best thoughts and intentions. As a vision, you know, our goal here and vision is to simplify and automate manufacturing quality. We want you to be able to use technology to deliver to your customer on time, on budget, on quality. And we bring those values of transparency, integrity, working together, professionalism, innovation, and we want you to trust us. We don't want only to deliver the needs of today. We also want to anticipate and lead delivering the needs of tomorrow. And you will see a lot of innovation, practical, professional innovation in the product that you would see. And once you see it, you say, oh, of course I need it. But you will see things you didn't imagine technology can help and deliver to you. As I mentioned, we continue to invest in technology, and the fact that it's modern and latest, it doesn't mean it's not ready. It is ready. So we are taking you at the moment that we believe the readiness is there. The technology can respond to the performance, to the usability that is needed, and to different models. You know, some of you would like to continue to host it locally on your machines, run it on premises from the perspective of security, control, redundancy, business continuity, cost. And some of you would like in the future to move it to a full cloud version. So we are developing that infrastructure, and we'll show you today the roadmap to that. We are bringing a lot of domain expertise, and those domain expertise are now packaged, repackaged in a way in the opportunity of introducing new technology. They are repackaged with the best user experience, role permission, and architecture. And Chris will demonstrate more on that. I don't want to add. So with that, I will only add one really important item. It's all about collaboration. Technology can facilitate better collaboration. It's not that the person or the function that plan the inspection is not really connected to the manufacturing shop floor. You are connected, okay? And the person that edit and submit all the reporting and the package to the customer is loosely coupled to what's going on in the organization. No, everything needs to be collaborative. Exchange needs to be interactive and dynamic. And everyone should have, with our technology and software, everyone should have visibility and be able to anticipate what's coming and have better control on managing your data and delivering reporting and products on time, on quality, on budget. I'll hand over at this point the presentation back to Scott and Chris. Thank you all.
Thanks, Effie. And real quick before we get over to Chris and the good stuff, really want to talk about, kind of why web, why now? Obviously, a big list of big reasons that we have here, but importantly to note, again, it's just keeping up with technology, making sure that we're at the forefront of that technology in our industry. Obviously, improved tech and user experience, Effie alluded to as well. Accessibility of a browser-based, a web-based product is huge. Obviously, given the correct security, we want you to have access to the software in an ever mobile world. We want to make sure that we're keeping up and giving you access to your software wherever really you have an internet connection. Within that though, we want to make sure that that security is upheld, right? So we're doing that by, again, really converting to a web-based product of named users, which allow us to increase that security, but role-based access tied to that named user licensing as well, which really allows us to control what the end user has access to and where they have access to it from. Obviously, within here, we also are continuing to expand on our workflows. Currently have those in our existing product, but really expanding that throughout the entire software to make sure you have control over that quality process internally, and allow you to do that at an even greater level as well. Security keeps coming up. So we're going to talk about more compliance and stronger security a little bit further on down the road as well. Obviously, being able to keep up with our customer needs of ITAR, CMMC, MFA, encryption, and everything that is tied to it is certainly something that obviously we are working on and will continue to offer for our customers in this new product. Effie mentioned it as well, but one of the other big things that this allows us to tie into is really support for our online, manufacturing throughout the entire quality supply chain with our HQA 360 web. So this again, we'll be able to tie in and give you access to suppliers, your customers, and allow them to have access to your shop floor if needed as well. So a lot of exciting stuff, but all tied around the idea of going to a web-based product. One key thing that I do want to mention is a question that as I have these conversations with customers, always comes up of when we say web-based or subscription-based, pricing or anything along those lines, people automatically think that it is a hosted environment. And again, yes, it can be. In a lot of cases it is. But as Effie mentioned before, we're actually going to offer this in two different install types. The first in the timeline, and we'll talk about that a little later, is our on-premises install. This is really similar to how you guys are going to take care of it now, to where you are going to host it locally. You are really managing still the server itself and everything that goes along with it. Backups, updates, everything on that side of it will still be on the customer. But again, obviously, then you control security as well too. And if you're more comfortable in that realm, certainly we're not going to change that. You will have that flexibility to either host it yourself. And then within that, obviously, even if you host it yourself, you still can open things up for outside and allow web access outside of your shop if you choose to do that as well. The second option will be a SaaS or cloud hosted environment. And this is one that we will provide for our customers eventually. Again, we'll talk about that more in the timeline. But this will be, again, HQA managed servers. Amazon.gov cloud will be who we are hosting with, and all the security that goes along with that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, folks like to ask the question, if I'm hosting with you, whose data is it? And it is very much still your data. We're just giving you access to using the software in our environment and taking that load off of your ever increasing load of things you have to worry about. With that being said, again, if there are additional questions on any of that, please put those in the Q&A. I think we talk about that a little bit more in the FAQ stuff as well later on. But that being said, let's go ahead and get in and take a look at the solution here. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris Mendocino. I'll stop sharing my screen so Chris can go ahead and share his, and we'll get a look at the product.
Yep. Hey, everyone. Should be able to hear me okay, I think.
Yeah, we hear you well.
Great. And you should be able to see my screen with a dashboard on it.
Got it. Yep.
Okay, excellent. See if I can move this Zoom bar out of the way. There we go. All right, so we wanted to get a bit of a sneak peek at what's in 360 Web today. And so I want to talk to you today about a few primary areas of the product that we've been focusing on, that you'll find some value in, and so on. So the first spot that we're landing in here is the dashboard side of things. And so this is something that we've had a ton of requests for over time, is dashboards and insights into what's going on in the system. We collect a lot of data, we generate a lot of data. How do we aggregate that and see that more easily. So this is just kind of an initial preview to some of the dashboards that we're working on. The concept, though, is the 360 web is very much a user and role-driven um, product, and as opposed to we had some roles and permissions and such within the Windows version of the tool, but now we've kind of really brought that to the next level, and I'll show you a little bit about how that breaks down later on in this presentation. But you'll see here, the idea is that each kind of role in this in your organization would have their own dashboard that they can see upon opening up the software, right? So like the Gauge manager will see widgets and information that's relevant to him and his job. Inspectors will see things relevant to them, and so on, right? So the product comes with a bunch of default dashboards out of the box for each role in the system. But you're able to build your own dashboards, modify these, right? We can drag these, kind of pull them around and such, move different objects where they need to be. And we're developing kind of a rich library of widgets like so that you can kind of pull in different widgets. You can make requests for widgets. I know we get a lot of, I anticipate that we'll get a lot of requests for, hey, I'd like to see a counter for this or that. Or I want to see a pie chart for this or that, right? So we'll be able to be highly responsive to those sorts of requests because we have all of this infrastructure in place with a lot of tools out of the box. But we have a huge customer base that's always thinking of new ideas and ways to kind of stretch our product to the limits, right? So looking forward to kind of collaborating with our customers on these dashboards so that you guys are able to get the most out of them. So that's kind of the first landing page here. I'm going to tab over to another area that should be a little bit more familiar. So this is obviously where we would do our ballooning. So this is fully in a browser where we're able to kind of work on our balloon drawing here, our bill of characteristics. This side of things, we didn't really touch the UI too much. It's just adapted to be in a browser-based format. We've got auto ballooning, parsing, numbering, our dimension sets, and so on up here, right? And dim editor and all of this kind of laid out similar to what you guys are very used to today. We had a lot of good feedback on this. People liked this particular interface, and so we largely left it alone. But the idea is now, instead of having a full client on your installed locally on your desktop, you're able to access this through a browser, right? So I'm currently like in full screen mode, but you can see that I'm just working in a standard browser with some tabs up here. And that's it. So I have like a URL that I'm working on, right? And you would have your own local URL, okay? All right, so even some things that we kind of moved around a little bit here. You can see kind of how the UI is structured. There's this toolbar over here on the side. Now, this is always providing both, these are kind of static links up here to be able to get to home, to parts, and the measurements tab. But these are kind of, how do I say this, contextualized links based on the current record that you're in. You'll see down here so that you always know where you are in the system. You're able to see, depending on if you're in supply chain or not, you'd be able to see kind of POs that you're associated with. In this case, I'm just inside of a particular part record. But as I navigate down through, you'll see, if you keep an eye on this toolbar as we continue here, you'll see which job you're inside of, lot, and even which inspection plan you're inside of, right? But here I can say, well, I want to see the manufacturing operations for this particular part. So I can click that. I can see this here. I can go into my operations, very similar to what you guys are used to today, right? Okay. So this stuff, a lot of it's kind of just bringing over what you're used to into a web-based environment. Next, though, let's talk about how we would deal with measurements and such. Okay, so I'm going to tab over again. I'm going to go to this tab. So this is the measurements area of the product, and there's a few things going on here. I just kind of brought a whole bunch of stuff into this view just so you could see what's happening. So right now we're dialed into a particular lot that we looked up on a particular job. But there's other ways up here, this you can kind of search for particular jobs as well that you want to be inspecting in. Now, this job here has 3 operations. So something we've done is really streamlined and optimized the data collection experience, right? We had some feedback where there's the drill down process. People felt that maybe that was a few too many clicks sometimes, and so we said, all right, well, let's drastically simplify that. So now it's really 2 pages. There's this page where I'm looking up which job that I want to be working with, and it gives me each operation here in this view. I can even see over here the progress of each operation, how many samples have been inspected, how many passed, how many failed, and I see that on a per project or per operation basis. See, so this is up 10, up 20, and up 30. Okay. We can even kind of pivot over here to look at the samples view of what samples have been inspected so far. I can see NCRs linked to this lot. I can see serial numbers and even rules. There's some dynamic sampling. I don't want to get into that today necessarily, but that's a new paradigm that we're kind of bringing to 360 web. But you can kind of see we're bringing more high-level overviews and insights to the inspectors so that they can be more productive. So all I have to do to work on my inspections is I would just click into which operation I'm in, right? Say continue that inspection process, and it brings me into my inspection view, right? So similar in some ways, but some major differences here. So I still have my interactive balloon drawing up here, right? But I can kind of work with a more of a spreadsheet type view, more of a table-based overview of my inspection process, okay? Now, this is inherently operation-centric, right? Because we clicked into a specific operation, but I have my results entry over here, so I can just key in different results. We put in something like, let's see, we'll just do that, hit enter, right? It accepts it as green, moves to the next inspection, and so on. All right, so similar in some ways, but also we got a lot of feedback. Lots of customers were asking for this type of a view, and maybe you can see now that you're able to see this would have been quite disruptive to the current product. So we were trying to kind of build it into a new environment from fresh instead of kind of adapting something that was already in place. Some cool things here that are happening is this is showing you projections of what you should be inspecting as you go forward through the samples. This table is able to actually be pivoted. So this is like a horizontal view, we'll call it, where samples are going out horizontally. But you can also pivot it for like large volume runs where you want to see this, where the samples are kind of in each row is a sample and the samples go down, right? And the dims are across the top. So there's a couple ways to pivot this view. There's also, you can see kind of red, green, and there's also yellow. I just don't have any in this particular one, but it'll show yellow if you're kind of within a threshold. You can kind of see that in this little widget that's popping up there. If you're within a certain percentage range of the usable tolerance, it'll show yellow here as well. If there's NCRs that have been reported against a particular dimension, you just right click, jump into the NCR, right? So all of this is about being more nimble and having like faster access with fewer clicks to any data that you'd like to jump into, okay? So that's the inspection side of things there. Now let's talk about kind of the reporting side of things, because if we click over here, again, oh, actually, I'll show you this too. How are we doing for time, Scott? I just want to see the pacing here.
Yep, you're good. Probably got about another 10, 5-10 minutes. Yep.
5-10 minutes.
You're
Okay.
good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So down here in the kind of breadcrumb trail here, this is showing us, as we discussed earlier, before we were just at a part level, but now that we're into an inspection, we can see specifically which job, which slot, and which operation we're in for that inspection, okay? So you kind of always know where you are, and you can easily just click this to get back up to a part level or a job level, etc. Okay, but over here, this menu expanded as well, because now that we're down in a job level, there's job related links here, so I can jump to data entry, I can see SPC analytics, we can review samples, etc. But first, let's jump into the PQP records here and see what's going on there. And click there. So now some of you might be asking, well, you know, I don't have PQP today, so how does that work when we come into 360 web? And the answer is, in 360 web, we've really doubled down on the PQP technology. That's the reporting engine, right? So there's in this world, in this paradigm, there's no more basic reporting and advanced reporting, things like that. It's one cohesive reporting engine, which is really nice. So the idea is, for any job that you're working in, you have a checklist of documents, right, that are required. Now, it doesn't have to be as advanced as what you see here. It could be that maybe, here, let's go and say I want to change my index. It could be that you just have a checklist for an FAI and lot inspection, right? So my balloon drawing, my FAI report, lot inspection. Maybe it's FAI only, right, that you have to do. So there could be a whole bunch of these indexes for various scenarios. If you're not familiar with PQP and how it works in the current product today, then definitely check out, we've got webinars on that. We've got a bunch of documentation in the KB on that. And there's a whole academy course on how it works as well that you guys all have access to because you're existing customers. So the way this works though is you have a checklist of what documents are required on any given job that you're in. Right now we're in a particular job, right? And I can just click into one of these and we have fully interactive documents like so. Here, I'm just going to load the full view like that. And so the way PQP works, yellow fields, I can just enter text into, I can engage with, maybe their check boxes, maybe it's some comments here, right? And I can just fill this up. And then I've got my data here. Actually, this is an example of one of those yellow fields I was telling you about. So you can easily see what was passing, what was right on the edge of passing, or red if it was failing, right? All right. So all of these documents as well are workflow driven. So you can see I've got an option to submit this up here. And that's because of the workflow driving this document. So this is much more like something like DocuSign or similar. Now, if there's obviously tons of options that we have if you want to work with the system in kind of a reduced mode. Maybe you're not quite ready to go full like paperless or so on. So there's options to export to Excel, right? We can print to, and you can dump it to an Excel and you can kind of work with it that way if you want to. We know a chunk of our customers are used to doing that in the current system today. That those options don't go away tomorrow. It's just that you have everything kind of built in to be able to work as digitally or as, how do you say that? Maybe all in one system as much as possible, okay? But if we look at workflows here, you can see this one's going from a draft to a review for the first signature. This one's got 2 signature steps here that it would go through, right? And the workflows kind of control the permissions and the access level to the document. So if I submit this, my yellow fields are going to go away because it's now in a review mode and it just requires a signature, okay? So I can click this and I can pull up and I can add my signature. Maybe I have reason codes, maybe I don't. Like so, I could sign this, great, and then I can submit it with that signature. Okay. So all of that in one place, and then you're able to directly email this to your customer, or handle it however you need according to your own internal business processes. Okay. So that's a little bit about the documentation and such that's built into the system. Let's keep going here. And I want to show just a little bit about the SPC side of things. Let's see. I'm going to come out of full screen so I can read. Okay, so we're also really doubling down on the SBC aspect of life here. This is a cool screenshot. Well, it's not a screenshot. This is a cool page of showing some SBC analytics for a particular job and lot. So I can see all the DIMs that are in this particular job here. And I get an interactive 6-pack that's just available to me whenever I want, right? So some of you might have to export to Minitab for this, or maybe you have some other way of calculating SBC analytics, but this is all baked right into the system and available with a couple of clicks. You can even turn on things like color zones, etc. There's also Nelson rules and such for those of you that are interested in that. I just don't have them here in this particular demo, but you can enable Nelson rules that'll flag patterns of data points that are undesirable that you might want to pay attention to. Okay, and you can kind of see how that's laid out. Now, something I want to show you, because I don't have it in this demo, but I wanted to kind of preview it here, is I've got a screenshot of something here to show you how we're going to be kind of incorporating this into the data collection experience as well. I just don't have it in the current demo. But you can see here what we're doing is this is that data collection or that data entry screen that we had before, right? Just a slightly different record. But if we come up here and we hover, we can click to go to that 6-pack. So even an inspector is able to quickly get to detailed SBC analytics information to help them drive their production run. Okay, so now some of you may not be at this point yet, but we know a lot of our customers are, and their inspectors or operators know how to read these charts and improve their processes, adjust offsets based on this, on their machining processes. And but one of our hopes is to be able to give you such value like this at, within a few clicks. It's baked into a system where it's now worth it to train your operators if you haven't done this before, because you have all this information, these analytics to be able to smooth out your processes. You have the tools available to you to help improve and build up your operator skill sets. Okay. So that's a little on the SBC side of things. There's a whole bunch more to get into, but we just wanted to sneak peek some of this today. The last thing I wanted to get into was over here, just to show you some of the paradigm shift here. Again, roles and permissions. This is kind of the menu structure here to be able to navigate anywhere. But with roles and permissions in the system, based on your role, you would see specific menu options here. I'm an admin, so I'm seeing everything, but it would kind of contextualize your navigation options based on your role. So if I come down to access control here, you can see kind of how deep we're going with permissions within the system and roles. So along the top here, you have different roles, right, that you can assign to individual users. So this is something that a system admin or your IT would kind of come in and configure. There's roles that are out of the box standard based on our experience with customers and the way we've interviewed customers about standard roles and functions within the organization. And so there's things like manufacturing engineer, quality manager, supervisor, etc. Right? There's an inspector here as well. Okay, QC inspector versus like a shop floor inspector, and they have different permissions available to them. You can see kind of what's enabled or disabled. Okay, and then you're able to go through the system and kind of module by module, so to speak, like for inspection planning, part records, job records. Are they allowed to create a job? Can they manage certain properties or modify the job status? There's quite a bit of granularity in here that wasn't there in the Windows system. Okay, so we're hoping that what we've tried to do is kind of meet you guys halfway, because something like this for some of our customers could look quite overwhelming, and we understand that. So we've done a lot of work to try to make these roles as as kind of generally applicable as possible to the 80-90% of our customers, so that you shouldn't have to change things in here too much. But if you do have some very specific requirements for specific users or roles, you do have that flexibility now to dive into this and make certain adjustments as needed. Okay, cool. So those are kind of the main areas that I wanted to cover for today. Obviously, there's a whole lot more we could always dive into, but this is kind of a good sneak peek, and hopefully this gets you guys excited, and we'll have some Q&A towards the end here as well.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Very well done. Yeah. And yeah, hopefully everybody else is as excited as we are about that as well. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And we'll jump right back into it. I know time sensitive here. So we'll get into really kind of the next couple, obviously, is first time frame, what we're expecting deliverable with the new software. And as you can see, we're currently under the HQA 360 product. So what you have now, consider HQA 360. And we're moving forward very rapidly. So as you can see here, HQA 360 Web, and this is the on-premises install, will be available later in Q4, towards the end of Q4, in a targeted release. So we'll have specific customers that we're working with to really kind of work through any kinks and get that up and running. And then as we progress with that, we'll get into the HQA continued version of HQA 360 Web on-prem, but then also offer our SaaS solution, hopefully sometime in Q2 of 2024. Again, obviously, this is all based on our current development projections, depending on how release goes initially. Again, these timeframes are always subject to change, but as we are currently standing, this is what we're hopeful and looking at.
We are on time. We are on time.
Yeah. Yeah, currently on time. So good news there. So again, this isn't something that we're talking about that's towards the end of next year. This is very soon and very quickly coming up is this year. So awesome news on the timeline there for sure. But let's get into some of the really questions that again, and these are as I've had these conversations with customers already, kind of talking about conversion, talking about the new version, a lot of the questions that came up. So hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of the questions you already have going on in the back of your head up front and right now. So we'll kind of try and keep this interactive. I think Chris is still there. Effie's with me as well. So we'll ask these and kind of have a conversation about these in front of the customers here. So number one, will my data, users, and settings convert from our HQA 360 desktop product, the Windows product over to HQA 360 Web?
I'll start. Yes, the answer is yes. We have built a seamless utility to transfer you data, users, settings. We are basically, it's the same database, just more enhanced. So all of that is compatible backwards in a way. We are just adding to the capabilities, settings, and sophistication. You don't need to move part by part. This is all should be done seamlessly, with some very little, of course, oversight by us to handhold it and test and make sure it's all good.
Awesome, outstanding. Next question: will we need really additional training when we move over to the web product? Will customers need that?
Yeah, Chris, you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So the concept from a training perspective, obviously, what you saw, it's quite a different user experience, new UI and everything. So some things have moved around and you need to learn how to navigate. So what's in the works right now and will be finished in time for 360 Web's availability is we're expanding the KB of basically building a second KB for the 360 Web product. But also you'll have, for all our existing customers, we're going to have like a transition class in the academy that you can all enroll in and take. Obviously that's free if for those of you that maybe haven't worked with the academy before. The academy is just a free offering that we have for any of our existing customers. and it'll walk you through like, hey, this is how you used to do things yesterday in the Windows product. This is how you do that same stuff in the web-based product. So you can kind of get your bearings and wrap your head around how to think about the new paradigm there. Yep.
Thank you. Third question here, if I start with the on-prem install, obviously the first part, what's going to be available first, can I later convert to the SaaS, the cloud model when that is available?
Yes, the answer is yes. And again, this change will be even simpler. The migration to the cloud is, we are moving from the same system to the same system, just someone else is hosting it. And I would, it depends on your company policy and how conservative or ready you are to really put your data and fully trust the availability of cloud hosting. So it's like, organization by organization, we are going to provide you with the top of the line cloud SaaS experience. It's your decision. The migration will be smooth and seamless, and we will, keep you fully informed when we are ready. And I think it's important to look at this as an annual thing, not in a few months. You don't want to start and a few months later to move. If you start with the on-prem web, you should make your own plan and make sure you learn and adjust and have your local, in-house IT fully on, in the decision making, and then you make a calculated decision. We are here to provide the best consulting, and we are motivated to have you basically offload the IT from your table, budget, and the daily challenges.
Words sometimes there too. Awesome, thank you. Next logical question there, a lot of folks ask is, what is, and is there an additional cost outside of converting to subscription, which we'll talk about here in a bit, for the transition itself?
Yeah, we may need, I don't anticipate, to those who have a job shop today and factory, I don't anticipate much transition cost. It depends on the level of sophistication, how many users, what are the business processes you want to deploy. We do believe there will be a small fee. We will publish that fee later, and it will be, for the job shop factory level, it will probably be optional. For more of those, or Factory Pro, more sophisticated reporting, SPC, there will be some services attached.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, as we discussed internally, will really depend on how the transition works for our early customers, and we're still working kind of through some of that. So, yep. Big question here towards the bottom. How long will HQA support our current HQA 360 product?
Yeah. So as you know, we are a mature product. We are version 7, MR3. Some of you have been with us 5, 6, 7 years, some less. The product is running for 10 years. We continue to provide support, bug fixes, and enhancement. But obviously, the nature of mature product is that it requires, it's more vetted, and many users already walk in different paths. So that's the definition of maturity. We do plan a version 7.5, probably early Q2 next year. So we are committed to continue to support and maintain the product. But naturally, as we transition, as more and more customers will adopt the web and SaaS cloud solutions, our priorities will shift. But for now, we didn't put a specific date. We continue to stop supporting it, and we will support it as long as our customers need it, and we'll continue to update ongoing.
Thank you. And then finally, the last one here for our FAQs that we tagged. What are the hardware requirements, if there will be any changes for, number one, obviously the on-prem install, but also SaaS requirements, if any, as well. And then Chris, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
So okay, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, so for on-prem installs, the hardware requirements don't shift too much. For job shop customers, it's effectively the same because you're used to running the system on one machine. But for client server type nodes, for like factory customers and up, if you are used to having like a lot of clients with working off of the same server, then we have shifted a lot of the processing and such to the server side instead of on the client side. And so there will be you'll need to slightly bump up the server hardware, but the requirements on the client side actually goes down. So there's that trade-off there. You don't need a high-powered engineering PC anymore for each client to be able to work with high QA because the processing is starting to happen on the server. And then for SaaS, it's obviously 100% cloud, and so even less no server requirements, and you're just working exclusively in the browser.
A good internet connection. Yeah.
Yes, you need a good internet
good browser, and
That's kind of a trick question.
On-prem, I would say, you have, as Chris indicated, the hardware and the resources requirement for your client machine, your laptop, your machines are going down. It's all about just having a good browser and good network. This is already something that you all should have. It's going to simplify IT to service your users.
Thank you. And just a quick reminder, if you do have additional questions outside of the ones that we just answered there, feel free to put those in the Q&A. We'll hit those at the very end of the presentation today. Final slide that we'll talk about really is, okay, you like what you saw. Really, how do you move forward? How do you get in line and kind of be ready for when we're available and when the software is ready to come out? Like I said, towards the end of this year. Obviously, step one, is contact your account manager. That's me. So feel free to reach out to me. I know most of you have my contact information. If not, Scott B at HighQA.com. Just realizing I didn't put that in the presentation somewhere. But feel free to reach out. We'll sit down and have a conversation really to discuss how you're currently using the existing software. Really talk about any current needs or future needs that you may see as well, and if it might make sense to add additional stuff while we're making this transition, and really kind of talk through that. Step two is to really convert to our subscription-based pricing. Again, what we're doing for customers, obviously, if you act sooner rather than later, and by sooner I mean Q4 of this year, as we're preparing for this release, we're offering significant cost savings and incentives to do so. Those are really kind of geared in the realm of credits back from your initial investment to really give you a big discount off the first couple 2-3 years of the subscription licensing, but also favorable conversion as far as when we go from that really floating or node lock license on your existing software to a named seat license. Obviously, that can change the way and the need for the number of licensing. So we're working with our customer base aggressively in this fourth quarter to make sure that you're going to have what you need moving forward as well. The third and final step is really to eventually migrate to the web paradigm when it's ready. So we'll continue to stay in touch once you do convert to subscription, and are in line as to the availability schedule based on when you're available and when it makes sense for you as well. But also note that our team will work with you professionally through the stages of conversion, training, and implementation, like we always do. So certainly being ready to do so is really what we're asking and having our customers convert and be ready to go when the product is ready to go. So with that being said, I do want to open it up. I don't see any questions. There was my email is out there. Thank you, Effie. But don't see any questions at the current moment. Certainly feel free. We'll hang out here for a second, but I believe Effie also wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming today, as well as I do. So
so hopefully we were very clear, still digesting. As I initially said, this is an educational, informational session. We are opening the channel for communication. There are a lot of opportunities here which we presented today to improve your information system, move to the even better digital paradigm with more capabilities, open architecture system that can integrate with your internal ERP and other information system you're using today. Your customers are requiring, demanding all of you to improve. The economy as pushing your management and yourself to produce more. We are delivering to you this the technology that can help facilitate it, and we strive to be your partners in this transition and growth. And we keep the channel open. I placed the email for Scott, and we are inviting an open dialogue. So thank you all for attending today, and we look forward to continue the discussion. Thank you, Scott.
Yes, thank you, Effie, and thanks everyone who attended again today. It doesn't look like we had any additional questions come in, so at this point we will end it. And as mentioned before, we'll share the meeting with everyone as well, so you'll have this for your notes.
I would just add, we are going to be at the Quality Show in October 24. Come and visit us, follow our website and communication, and I believe we are in booth
827.
827. Yes, booth 827. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.